All right, if you bought an open source cake, it would taste like crap. But that doesn't matter because along with the cake, you would get a very detailed recipe and you would be able to update that recipe and make the cake taste slightly less crap. Open source folks like to think of themselves as part of a much bigger, grander ethos, an open ethos. And the oldest example of that I could find was freedom of the press. Back in 1766, Sweden added freedom of the press to their constitution. And this is obviously very important for transparency. Project Gutenberg is about digitising out of print and out of copyright books and making them available for free. The underlying protocols of the internet were designed and implemented in an open way, enabling people all around the world to communicate. One of our sponsors, O'Reilly Media, were really at the start and helped create and sustain today's open source movement, and they continue to push the open source ethos into new dimensions, such as electronics and craft. NASA scientists, way back in 1985, started thinking about how to make all the data they were amassing available to researchers around the world. The data formats that they have come up with and has since spawned are available for use today. Open access publishing is about publishing publicly funded research papers in open access formats and not having them be hidden in expensive subscription journals. Jim Kent, in 2000, using open source tools, was the first person to sequence the human genome. He beat a public corporation and was able to stop them from patenting the human genome. Wikipedia, also in 2000. Everyone knows Wikipedia, probably the most well-known open source project in the world. They license their media using Creative Commons licenses. Creative Commons licenses are copyright licenses. They're easy to read and they enable sharing, remixing and collaborative work. OpenStreetMaps, similar to Wikipedia, they enable collaborative creation and editing of map data. And the resulting maps are available for free to use as you see fit. Arduino is an Italian electronics module. It's open source from the ground up. It's compatible with a basic PC and it enables people to start working on electronics programs. The Open Architecture Network, completely away from software, is a network for architects to share their designs and blueprints for homes and buildings and infrastructure for the developing world. Not everything's rosy in the open world. This is a comment from Hillary Clinton's recent speech on the internet freedom. I highly recommend you going and reading that full speech. There are companies today that will make products, sell you products, and then try to stop you from doing fairly normal things with those products. So things like DRM that will stop you doing something that should be a fair use right. Australia right now is part of a secret trade agreement called ACTA. It's meant to be about counterfeiting. It's much more about limiting your fair use rights under the copyright law. There is an execrable force towards openness in the world, probably best summed up by Linus Torvalds, the initial creator of the Linux kernel. There are a lot of technical open source groups in Brisbane. I'm a techie, so these are the groups I know. I know that there are a lot of open source groups in the wider ethos in Brisbane. I'm not so connected with those. Next year in Brisbane, I'm part of the organising team for Linux Conf AU. It's an annual technical Linux conference. It's an open source conference, and what we're trying to do is bring as many of the open source groups together. Thank you very much.